map, what this does is it looks at how that student did on number, algebra, the different strands. So you can begin to see that their algebra skills are very weak. They only got 7 out of 48, so perhaps they need lots of only 15% of the available algebra questions they got right on that paper. So that might tell you something about, let's do some intervention and get this student doing lots of algebra work. Their geometry and measures, although they 12%, although they got that congruency question right, but their probability is quite good. 36% in their statistics. And we can drill down even more into that algebra and say, well, what type of algebra? So you can really start drilling. This wasn't assessed, so this one hasn't got anything now. There's no in that particular paper. Substitution, so it can really, and they got there was obviously substitution for formulas and equations, and there was 11 marks worth of questions on that paper, and they got 0, and there you can see the residual. But you can see it, students at grade 3, it's not a strong topic anyway. If I change that to a 4, you'll see those residuals will change, because grade 4's algebra should be better, and suddenly it's gone down to this one here has gone down to minus, I think it was minus 60. Here it is. These do change according to the grade. So the higher the grade, this student will appear weaker and weaker. So you can really start drilling down into that situation there. The highlight report is for me the most powerful one, because again, we can choose it for the different papers. This is for all papers, but we could choose for individual papers. This is looking at the exam as a whole, and we can see their paper 2 is particularly weak there. Non-calculator skills may be quite good, 24%. This one here, you need the paper in front of you, or you can touch and get the topic. Now this again is a tip for you. I used to make this 1, and then worst skills. So you've got your 10 best skills and 10 worst. I'm not sure about worst, maybe areas for improvement. But this here tells you the topics. So this is the one I used to print out. See the print there? I used to print that one out for the students. You can change it from 10. We could say, well, you could say, there's your 10 best ones, really good. There's that congruency that we saw there that was good for students of that ability. Again, the residuals are positive, just a little negative there, but still. And then these are their 10 topics for improvement. So this could be some intervention work you do, where you pick the appropriate worksheet or learning to fill the gaps, and these are your intervention topics. That's why I like the highlight report for an individual student. There is a way that you can get this level of analysis for a whole cohort if you are looking at ResultsPlus analysis, not for mocks but for live papers, and then you can look at individual groups in this way. Again, its functionality is exactly the same, and these are meant to be short clips. So you could do this for a whole cohort, the whole year group. Obviously, higher and foundation is probably better to do it for, to split it into the 2 tiers. You could, for that particular paper, you could do it for individual groups. And when we were doing this at my school, what we found was there was 1 or 2 topics that were really badly answered. And when we drilled down, what we found was it was when that class and that topic was taught by a trainee teacher for that particular class, and the students were messing around. There was another topic where the whole department seemed to do quite badly in it, and when we looked at the scheme of work and we looked at the timing of it, it was at the time where there was a pantomime, and there was lots of kids coming out and their mind was, on different things. Sometimes there's field trips, or they have I don't know, BS, they have injections or inoculations, and so it's worth looking at your scheme of work and seeing where some of these key topics are placed on your scheme of work. And if other things on the school calendar are taking students out, that can have an effect, and you actually don't realize it until you do an analysis like this, where you see the residuals are really low and they shouldn't be, and then you think, well, why was that? So it can give you the kind of questions you got to provide the answers. But for this purpose, looking at an individual student, we've got a list of topics that now we can do some intervention with before they take their exam. And this is where we have resources, topic sheets, and the themed practice papers. There's lots of things on the Emporium and Pearson website that can help you with your intervention classes. So that's the highlight report, which I find the most useful. And again, the tip, you need the paper in front of you. So these 2 here, I make 1. If it was 0, they'd just disappear. And then here you can have 10. We can have 10 best ones to really be positive. And then let's just do little steps. let's go for just 5. Let's not make it too daunting. Let's look at the 5 priority ones, and we can do the next term or next time we'll do the next 5, and then that's not so daunting. And again, this student did on graphs and equations of lines, they did 94% worse than the rest of the country of grade 4 students on that particular question. And that's the power of the analysis. And as I say, you've got the print, and you've also got the option to export it. Thanks for your attention. I hope you found it useful. See the Pearson ResultsPlus web pages for further advice and user guides.